Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Michelle Nedwick and I have my trusty sidekick Leo here, and I make healthy lifestyle videos, and I'm documenting my journey on a GLP-1 and Weight Watchers. I'm also giving you guys some updates on my wedding. I'm getting married in the beginning of October, and basically just general updates about my life. So today is Saturday, and I just went to Weight Watchers and then the grocery store. And so I have another segment in my Weight Watcher motivation series. But first, let me tell you how my week went. So this was bound to happen because I have been steadily losing. But as they say, weight loss is not a slide. It's a roller coaster. So today I was up 1.2. Now, last night I had one of my girlfriends over, and we put together all of my wedding invitations, and I made some baked brie cheese, and we had some wine. So I knew I was probably going to be up, and I was just a little. So I will work on that this week. But thank goodness I finally got my wedding invitations out. So that's one big task I have done. Now, I am still starting to stress. My wedding is in 2 months. I have the caterer, but I haven't decided what to have. I get 3 entrees and 2 sides, and then salad and rolls. So I'm thinking roast beef and some kind of chicken, and then some kind of pasta. So I can taste test it. I have to call the place and order samples. It's $3 a sample, and you go and pick it up. I haven't done that yet, but I have to do that pretty soon. And I have to decide what I want for my wedding cake. So I initially hired somebody to do the catering and the wedding cake. She was really a wedding cake person, but she was trying to break into catering, so I was gonna give her a chance. And but she's had a lot of health problems. So about a month ago, she texted me, and she was actually in the hospital, and she's like, I can't take on that big of a job. But she is still gonna do my wedding cake, so I've got to get together with her. I'm thinking something, just classy, maybe white with like white flowers, and I don't know. My colors are shades of purple, so I've got to think about that one. If you guys come across any pictures of wedding cakes that you think I might like, email them to me. I've got my email listed in the description box below. It's michellenedwick@gmail.com. So, because I would like some ideas. I have the hall, I have the DJ. I've got to fill out this thing online for the DJ, and I am not techie. I would rather have a pen and paper and write out what songs I want and that sort of thing. But anyway, I've got to figure that out. My very good friend, who was the judge that I worked in her court for years, I'm a prosecutor if you're just joining my channel. Anyways, she is going to be marrying us, and she has sent me an email where she wants, she has some questions, and I've got to fill that out. I still have that to do. She sent that to me over a week ago, and I haven't done it yet. So that's one of my goals this weekend. And then I have to figure out the logistics of the ceremony and the reception. So I'm doing it all in the same place. I live in northeastern Ohio, and my venue is right on Lake Erie. It's beautiful. It's not a very big hall. Max number of people with staff and everything is 150, and it's tight if it's 150. I'm hoping that it will be right around 100. But anyway, I tried to rent the hall for that night before, and it was already booked. So I can't get into the hall until 9 a.m. the day of the wedding. Now, this is a Friday, and I'm getting married at 5:30 p.m. So I do have some time. But the only thing the hall provides is tables, bare tables, and chairs. You can pick out a floor plan of how you want them to situate the tables. But what I'm coming across is I'm doing the ceremony there. Now, it is in a park, so I could do the ceremony outside, but with October 3rd, you don't know what the weather is going to be, especially up here in northeastern Ohio. So I think I'm going to do the ceremony inside. So we'll have to set up the hall for the ceremony, and then with the tables pushed back. And then after the ceremony, me and the bridal party and my family members are going to go take some pictures around the park and the lake. And I need a crew to basically put the tables together for the reception and put all the chairs in there and have it done before we get back from pictures. I'm also having like a cocktail hour, so I've got to pick out like what trays of appetizers I want. So all this stuff is, keeping me awake. I've not been sleeping well. I wake up at like 4 a.m. like this, and I'm thinking about stuff, and I tell myself, Michelle, don't think about that. Think about a TV show that you want to watch or something. But I inevitably start stressing over my wedding. So anyway, that's kind of where I am this week. I did make some healthy dinners. I did try to incorporate more fruits and vegetables in my diet. But really, with everything going on, I'm not being strict. So, and I really haven't had that much activity. I know I keep saying this, but I am finding now that Mike has moved in, I'm definitely more sedentary. And I need to nip that in the bud before it becomes a habit of just coming home from work and sitting and watching TV until bed. That's what he does. He lived in a very small condo and there really wasn't anything to do. So when he'd come home from work, he would sit and watch TV. Sometimes we would meet up during the course of the week, but we live about half an hour apart, so we would only get together maybe once or twice in the middle of the week. So anyway, I used to be way more active because I was running around doing laundry, doing my grocery shopping, actually taking walks and things like that. So I need to get back to that. I don't want it to become the habit that we just sit there, because that is not healthy for anybody, including Mike. As a matter of fact, Mike, who wanted to lose weight, is actually gaining some weight. So I'm probably not doing him any favors. I baked homemade chocolate chip cookies this week. I think I had one cookie total and he basically ate the rest. So I told him I'm going to really try to make healthier options. So when I went to the grocery store today, I got a lot of fruit. I got fresh cherries. I got grapes. I got apples. I have baby carrots. Bought some lettuce for salads. So I'm going to try. So that is pretty much where I'm at. So let me get to my Weight Watcher motivation of the day. All right, so I have my trusty iPad. I take notes at my Weight Watcher meeting. So this morning, I walked in and on her whiteboard, she had the title Surround Sound. So basically what the meeting was about was the fact that we have all sorts of people and TV and social media talking to us all the time. She talked about, how it was back in the good old days, and she and I actually are close to the same age. I think she's 2 years older than me, and we actually went to high school together, but I had a huge high school, and we didn't really know each other back then. But anyway, she's like, do you remember when your telephone was, in your kitchen attached to the wall, and, people could not reach you any minute of the day? You couldn't get texts. As far as television went, there were like 4 channels that you were able to get because cable didn't really come out, I think, until I was about 12 or 13. But anyway, we were very limited in the communication that we got way back then in, the 1980s. So nowadays, we have constant noise coming at us. We have social media, Facebook. We have people around us who are texting us, calling us, all sorts of things, and they can influence you. And you can be influenced in either a good or a bad way. She said the first group that she's going to talk about that influences you are the people in your lives. And she specifically talked about staying away from toxic people. Now, what is a toxic person? I mean, they come in various forms. I mean, it could be your coworker who doesn't give you any respect. It could be a family member who is questioning you as you're losing weight, and they brought up the topic, and I know a lot of you guys who are also on GLP-1s have had to deal with this, where you lose your weight and people like to judge you, and they're like, oh my God, how much more weight are you going to lose? You don't even look good. You look sick. I mean, who wants to hear that? We're all on our own health journeys. And when somebody is saying stuff like that to you, it really isn't about you. It's about them. My leader is a school teacher, and she talked about how she used to go into the teacher's lounge to eat her lunch. And inevitably, somebody would say, ugh, if I had to eat what you're eating, I'd rather be fat. She said she would get criticized for eating healthy. And, eventually she just quit eating her lunch in the teacher's lounge. But she said how she dealt with it at the time that woman said that to her. She said, she looked down at her lunch and she's like, don't listen to her. You're delicious. Kind of made it humorous to try to, get away from that toxicness. So what the leader said is these types of people, they cause friction in your life. And I think friction is stress. So, you try to do what you can to stay away from these people. And if you can't stay away from them, just remember this is their issue, not yours. She said they are self-protecting. So I'm not really sure what that means, but I kind of liken it to a few years ago, I was trying to cut way back on drinking. And I was at a wedding and I was seated, Mike and I were seated at the same table that my ex-husband and his fiance were at. It was quite humorous. But I, at that point in time, I was on a health kick and I was trying not to drink any alcohol at all. And she just could not stop asking me. And then they feel like they have to justify their own drinking. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, I don't have a problem. I only have like one or two on the weekends. So I don't have a problem. And I'm sitting there going, I didn't say I had a problem. I said, I'm taking a step back from drinking. So it's very similar. People are seeing through their own eyes, and they're only really dealing with their own issues and problems. They don't really care about yours. So if you have a toxic person in your life, just remember that. My leader said, sometimes you can educate these people, but sometimes you can't. So I guess that's how it is with life. Then she talked about, people who aren't necessarily toxic, but are inviting you out to eat, out to social events. And how do you handle that when you're trying to stay on your health journey? And, some of the members had some ideas. Now, one of them said, if the event or what she's inviting you out to is just say dinner and where is not set in stone, try to pick some place that has healthy options. You can always make suggestions. If you're going to a social engagement and you are supposed to bring a dish, bring something healthy that you can eat. Just don't be too hard on yourself. You cannot control everything that happens at a gathering or event. So just try to make the best choices you can and watch your portion sizes. So especially in the summer, we've all had to deal with that situation. She also talked about people, family members especially, who think that food is love. Your dear old grandmother or your mom who wants to make you your favorite things and gets upset if you don't eat it or eat enough of it. So my leader said she had that situation with her dad. And she said eventually she just gave him something that he could do for her. She said while she was losing weight with Weight Watchers that, fruits and vegetables are free. So, why don't you make me extra vegetables? And so he tried to do that. And so it became, what he did for her. And she said he became her strongest ally. So sometimes you can educate people. She said, turn up the fuel, turn down the friction. And then she started talking about other ways that we're getting talked at, so to speak. And, one of the biggest ones is Facebook and other social media. Now, I think it's pretty funny that I'll be talking to somebody in person about something, and then about 5 minutes later, I'll look down and there's something on Facebook about it. So, like I said, I'm a prosecutor. And one time I was talking to an attorney about his client who was Robert Evans. And I said something about Bob Evans. And literally 5 minutes later, there was an advertisement for Bob Evans on my Facebook feed. So Big Brother is watching us, I'm sure. But, Facebook especially, they know what you like and they're going to give you more of what you hover on. So I get a lot of recipe reels and things sent to me. I get a lot of cute kitty videos because I've got my own cute kitty over there working so hard. Anyway, so, she said, if you don't want those images, and sometimes, I'm getting sent pictures of food that isn't necessarily healthy that, will trigger me wanting to have it. So she just said, make sure you kind of scroll fast past those, and then they will send less and less of those types of things into your feed. And then she talked about, just what we read on the internet and how there's such a mixed bag when it gets to what is a healthy food. For example, she said, avocado. Is it a miracle food that's good for you, or is it a food you should avoid because it has too much fat? So there's two sides to every story. And again, cheese. Is cheese bad and should you stay away from it? Or is cheese a good source of protein? So, you have to decide what is right for you and keep in mind everything in moderation. And if you do follow the Weight Watchers program, the nice thing is there is nothing off limits. As long as you kind of factor it in, you can have the treats and things you want on occasion so you don't feel deprived. And even if you're not on Weight Watchers, I think, if you try to eat healthy 75 to 80% of the time, that 20% of the time you can have some things that you enjoy. Like for me, a glass of wine, or for Mike, chocolate chip cookies, something like that. She also said, if Facebook is getting to be a little bit too much for you, if you are a Weight Watchers member, either an online member or a meetings member, you can go down to their own Weight Watchers Facebook called Connect, and it is almost entirely positive. And you can join groups, and there's all kinds of different groups. Is it over 50 years of age or pounds? There are exercise enthusiasts, or, she said there should be one for people who like to play pickleball, and that sort of thing. There might be groups on there that talk about good Weight Watcher recipes. I would like that group. So I haven't really gone on Connect much. I probably should check that out. She also talked about the virtual meetings. And I have talked about those in the past, like last Saturday when I thought Mike had deleted my entire wedding guest list and I had to leave the meeting. I was able to watch a virtual workshop, and I have found them to be very good. They have the virtual workshops, which are about the topic of the week, but they have a bunch of other topics too, like GLP-1 users, like people who want to walk. And I know the one leader had a walk and talk session. So you could put your headphones on and walk outside while you participate in this meeting. So there's a lot of things that I still have yet to explore on Weight Watchers. They keep improving their app. And finally, she said, you need to practice positive self-talk. And, you know, that's basically a recurring theme in these meetings that I've been going to and the ones I share with you. In the past, she's talked about the negative things that we say to each other, and she named them Fred or whatever, and, you know, kick Fred out of the party. But what she said is you really need to practice positive self-talk because, you know, a lot of times it doesn't come to us naturally. What does come to us naturally is criticizing ourselves. And if that is what you're doing, you need to stop yourself and turn it around and think about the positive things that you are doing to help yourself and to move you further on your health journey. So, you know, it does take practice. Now, one member talked about the fact that in her neighborhood, she has like a gym. I think there's like a clubhouse in her residential neighborhood, and there's a gym there. And she promised herself that she would just walk inside. And she said she walked inside and she did a half an hour on the elliptical. So we all gave her a little bit of an applause. So it's stuff like that. You know, you just have to start. And sometimes you're going to find, you know, that you like it. Starting is the hardest part. So this week, my goal is to walk outside, and we'll take it from there. Let me know what your goals are for the week in the comment section below. Now, we always end the meeting with a quote. And today's quote was, "Your mind will always believe what you tell it. Feed it hope, feed it truth, feed it love." And that's from an unknown source. So that's a good thing to leave you guys with. Now, if you've made it this far and you've enjoyed the video, please give me an emoji of a heart. And if you like this video, please like it below and subscribe to my channel. And tick that notification bell so you are alerted every time I upload a new video. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will see you next time.